IMAX on Disney Plus. Who would have figured? So yeah, Disney Plus is now offering IMAX enhanced versions of some of the movies from Marvel as an option. You can either view in the scope ratio or in the IMAX variable ratio, which changes between normal extra wide ratio and the taller ratio. And the taller ratio is really not quite as tall as 1.78 or 1.85 to 1, but it's 1.90 to 1. So it still has little black bars on the top, but it's not as much black bars as the scope ratio. I think this is kind of neat. I think it's, of course, it's designed to be effective on a large theater screen, but it can also be effective on a television, especially if you got a projector. The Mandalorian used it in the season premiere of season 2, and that was really cool the way they did it. They in fact, didn't just switch between letterbox and open matte. They gradually shifted during a shot of a beast approaching, so that like really made the zoom powerful. And it was followed by a couple of other well-composed shots that really enhanced that it was a bigger picture now, and it was an effective part of the storytelling. But yeah, it is an interesting way to watch a film, and if you have to choose between that or being cropped all the way to scope, I mean, why not? Of course, for those of us who use Blu-ray 3D, we've already had this for most movies, with a few exceptions. The Marvel movies largely have had the IMAX ratio and variable ratio preserved on Blu-ray 3D disc. Unfortunately, not all have, most notably the end of the first Infinity Saga, Endgame, which is kind of crazy. Only the cropped version exists on Blu-ray 3D. And then going back to the very beginning of the MCU, this is something I didn't even know existed. The original Iron Man, the first film in the series, was made in an IMAX version. This isn't even available on the Blu-ray as far as I know, so now you can see it that way in 4K on Disney Plus. But going back to the Blu-ray 3Ds, this was the last Marvel movie that Disney released in 3D Blu-ray, Endgame. And then the movie that came after that, Spider-Man Far From Home, that was released by Sony because they own distribution rights to that. And then, as we know, due to the shutdowns, the MCU was delayed for 2020. So Black Widow didn't come out. And then when it did this year, in 2021, it was released with an IMAX version, but IMAX stopped showing 3D movies in the United States. So you had to choose between IMAX with variable ratio or normal with 2D. And really, if you're able to find a good theater, which there are. Sometimes there are theaters that don't really try technically, from a technical standpoint, they get things wrong here and there, whether it's aspect ratio or focusing or brightness, or things that are inherent to the theater itself, such as a bad seating layout. But sometimes you hit on a normal theater that is spot on. Fortunately, I have one nearby me that is pretty good, and that's comparable to IMAX for me now. No need for an upcharge, because really all the IMAX was doing for me was guaranteeing that they wouldn't get it wrong. So if you can find a normal theater that doesn't get it wrong and doesn't upcharge you for what they're supposed to be doing already, then good for you. And really, if you have a choice between 3D or variable ratio, for me 3D wins every time. That's way more immersive. But if you can have both, great. And Disney did start releasing the IMAX versions on Blu-ray 3D, starting with Black Widow. However, they made the brilliant decision of only releasing it in Japan, and same thing with its successor, Shang-Chi. We'll see what happens after that, I don't know, but the cost to import is just ridiculous. And that cost mostly isn't even going to Disney, so they really shot themselves in the foot with that one. And hopefully they make a U-turn. But in any case, I'm not going to pay that. When you release a legitimate copy that I can buy, well, I'll do it. this will be gone and I will buy it. But you're choosing not to monetize your own content, so this is what happens. But anyway, the 3D disc has an expanded IMAX ratio, and combined with the 3D, that's all the better. And Shang-Chi is coming soon, and that had even better 3D than Black Widow, so with the expanded ratio, I imagine that's going to be good, and I look forward to seeing that on my projector. So I'll see you next time.